Like, just go. Like, don't you need to go scout some players? It's March. Shouldn't you be at March Madness scouting some players or something? You don't have other things to do? Like, golly, man, we cannot escape this lady. Oh my God, man. Nakas, Tibbetts, and White were coaches.
Cameras were already rolling when the door slammed. No warning, no PR filter, no carefully drafted statement. Just a voice, sharp, shaking, furious, cutting through the hallway outside Team USA's locker room. "I'm done. I'm not doing this." Players froze. Staffers stopped mid-step. A trainer dropped a clipboard, and inside that echoing corridor, under fluorescent lights that suddenly felt like interrogation lamps, Caitlin Clark turned to the head coach and said the words nobody thought they would ever hear. "I quit Team USA." It wasn't a whisper. It wasn't emotional exhaustion. It was nuclear, and within seconds, phones were out. Security scrambled. Someone tried to shut the door. Someone else was already texting reporters. Angel Reese was staring in disbelief. Alia Boston looked like she'd seen a ghost. Paige Buchers stood silent, eyes darting between teammates and coaches, as if she knew this moment would fracture something much bigger than a roster. This wasn't just an argument. This was an explosion years in the making. The golden girl of American basketball, the ratings magnet, the jersey-selling phenomenon, the player who just carried an entire league on her back, walking away from Team USA, before the World Cup cycle, before the Olympic runway, after everything she sacrificed. Something happened in that room, something so volatile, so personal, so political, that the face of women's basketball decided wearing USA across her chest wasn't worth it anymore. And if you think this is just about one fight, you have no idea how deep this goes. Before the hallway, before the cameras, before the words that shook the entire basketball world, there was silence. Heavy, controlled, political silence. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA, she set it on fire. Arenas sold out months in advance. Road games sounded like home games. TV ratings exploded. Jerseys disappeared from shelves. Little girls showed up with deep logo threes stitched across their backs. She wasn't just a rookie. She was a movement, and movements make people uncomfortable. When Team USA left her off the Olympic roster in 2024, the explanation sounded clean: veteran presence, timing, development. But that decision cut deep, because everyone knew what she was doing to the sport. Everyone saw the numbers, the impact, the cultural shift. Yet somehow, she wasn't ready. Caitlin smiled through it, said the right things. "I respect the decision. I'll keep working." But behind that calm Iowa composure, there was fire. She went into her rookie season with something to prove, not just to critics, not just to veterans, but to the system. And she delivered. Logo threes under pressure, fourth quarter daggers, assist numbers that rewrote record books, a franchise turnaround that felt almost cinematic. Alia Boston thriving beside her, Kelsey Mitchell finding new space, the Fever transforming from irrelevant to must-watch television. But success has a shadow. Veterans around the league didn't all clap. Some rolled their eyes. Some played more physical, hard fouls, extra contact, no sympathy whistles. There were whispers: "She's ball dominant. She turns it over. She hasn't earned it yet." Earned what? The spotlight, or the power? Inside the Team USA ecosystem, two worlds were quietly colliding. One world saw her as the future, the ratings engine, the face of Los Angeles 2028, the generational icon. The other world believed in hierarchy, in seniority, in paying dues the old way, and Caitlin was walking into rooms where that tension lived. Training camps felt different, plays weren't fully hers, minutes weren't guaranteed, leadership roles were subtle, guarded. Veterans had relationships built over years, gold medals, loyalty cycles, shared wars. Caitlin had numbers, they had history, and every time she pulled from 30 feet in practice, every time the gym buzzed when she touched the ball, the invisible pressure got heavier, because when one star rises too fast, it shifts gravity. There were small moments people didn't notice. A glance at the bench after being subbed out, early. A play call waved off. A heated exchange during film review. Nothing dramatic enough to headline, but enough to bruise, enough to build. Teammates felt it. You could see it in the way conversations paused when coaches entered, in the quiet after scrimmages, in the tension during drills when possessions ended. Without her touching the ball, she wasn't just fighting defenders anymore. She was fighting perception, fighting hierarchy, fighting the idea that she needed to shrink before she could lead. And then came that closed-door scrimmage. No cameras, no media, just competitors. Something was said. Not basketball. Critique, something personal. Something that questioned more than her shot selection. Voices rose. Teammates froze, and whatever cracked in that gym followed them straight into the locker room. Hallway, because pressure doesn't disappear, it waits. And Caitlin Clark had been holding it in for a long time until she couldn't anymore. The scrimmage was supposed to be routine, controlled, competitive, closed-door. No cameras, no reporters, just Team USA sharpening weapons before the world stage. But by the second quarter, the temperature in that gym wasn't competitive, it was combustible. Caitlin was cooking early. Deep pull-up three. No hesitation. Quick assist in transition. Another look shot that splashed so clean, it echoed. The gym reacted. And that's when it happened. The whistle blew. Not for a foul. For a substitution. She looked at the bench. Confused. It wasn't rotation timing. It wasn't fatigue. She had just found rhythm. The head coach didn't look at her, just tapped the clipboard. Ball movement. We're not running freelancing today. Freelancing. The air shifted. Clark walked to the sideline, jaw tight, towel over her shoulders. Angel Reese avoided eye contact. Aaliyah Boston leaned forward, trying to read the room. Chelsea Gray stayed expressionless, veteran calm, but watching everything. The next possession, the offense stalled, missed mid-range, turnover. Another empty trip. From the bench, Caitlin clapped once, loud, frustrated. When she checked back in, she didn't hesitate. She ran the set cleanly, hit the weak side shooter, then pulled from 28 feet when the defender sagged. Bucket. The gym buzzed again, and that's when the comment came. Not shouted, not screamed. Cold. You're not in Iowa anymore. Silence. Caitlin froze. Teammates heard it. Assistant coaches heard it. It wasn't about a play. It wasn't about defense. It was about control. About status. About reminding her whose system this was. Clark stepped forward. What does that mean? The head coach didn't blink. It means this isn't built around you. The words hung in the air like smoke. Angel Reese looked away. Paige Buch stared at the floor. Because everybody knew what that really meant. This wasn't about team basketball, this was about hierarchy. Clark's voice shook, not weak, but furious. I'm not asking it to be built around me. I'm asking to win. The response came quick. We've won without you. That one landed. Hard years of Olympic gold. Veteran loyalty. Unspoken message. Know your place. The scrimmage dissolved after that. Possessions turned sloppy. Energy fractured. Players weren't communicating, they were surviving the tension. Practice ended. Early, no huddle, no unity speech. Just scattered exits. In the hallway outside the locker room, it escalated. Clark approached again, calm, but burning. If this is about seniority, just say it. The head coach's voice dropped. It's about trust. Trust. Clark snapped. Or control. That's when staff stepped in. But the damage was done. Because one assistant, someone who had been silent the entire time, finally spoke. And this is where everything flipped. You were never supposed to be the face this fast. Not denial. Not correction. Confirmation. The system hadn't caught up to her. It was trying to slow her down. The hallway froze. That was the moment. The realization that this wasn't just strategy, it was resistance. And something inside Caitlin Clark cracked. She didn't scream, she didn't cry. She looked straight at the head coach and said, steady and clear, then maybe this isn't where I'm supposed to be. Gasps. Aaliyah stepped forward. CC, but she was already shaking her head. You don't trust me, fine, don't use me. The head coach tried to regain control. This is emotional, we'll talk tomorrow. Clark's response, no, you've been talking, I've been listening. And then, in front of stunned teammates and scrambling staff, the sentence that detonated everything. I quit Team USA. Not a threat, not leverage, a decision. And as she walked past stunned security and into the corridor, filled with whispers and raised phones, one assistant muttered under their breath, this just became bigger than basketball. And they were right, because within minutes, the story was already leaking. By the time Caitlin's car pulled out of the parking garage, the internet was already on fire. Someone had recorded the hallway audio, not video. Audio, just enough muffled voices. A sharp, you're not in Iowa anymore. A clear, unmistakable, I quit. 30 seconds, that's all it took. Within 20 minutes, Hashtag Clark quits was trending. Sports reporters were scrambling. WNBA group chats exploded. Former players went live on Instagram without facts but with opinions. And Team USA. They panicked. Emergency meetings. Phones ringing. PR drafting statements that sounded sterile and defensive. Miscommunication. Competitive disagreement. Caitlyn remains committed to the program. But Caitlyn hadn't posted. And that silence was louder than anything. Inside the locker room, tension turned into division. Some veterans were furious, not because she spoke up, but because she did it publicly. You don't walk away from USC. One player reportedly said, another countered quietly. You don't silence generational talent either. Angel Reese was caught in the middle. Her rivalry with Clark had always been competitive, fiery, marketable, but this was different. This wasn't about rebounds or trash talk. This was about power. Aliyah Boston texted Clark 3 times. No response. Paige Buchers called once. Straight to voicemail. Then came the second twist. A respected league insider went on a late-night sports show and dropped a bombshell. This wasn't the first time Clark considered stepping back from Team USA. The panel froze. He continued. There were concerns, weeks ago, about her role being limited strategically. Discussions happened. This wasn't impulsive. Weeks ago, that changed everything. Because that meant this wasn't about one comment, this was a buildup. Behind the scenes, there had reportedly been disagreements about usage, marketing appearances prioritized over leadership positioning, requests for her to defer more, suggestions she focus on off-ball development instead of initiating. Sponsors were pressuring USA Basketball to showcase her. Veterans were reminding leadership about loyalty cycles. And caught in between, Caitlyn Clark. Not just a player, an asset. A political piece on a chessboard. By midnight, another leak surfaced. A message allegedly from a staff member that read, "We can't let one player become bigger than the program." That line detonated because 2 million of fans she already was. Sports talk shows split instantly. Some called her immature, emotional, disrespectful to tradition. Others called her brave, fed up, tired of being boxed in. The league office stayed silent. But then, Angel Reese posted a single tweet. Pressure reveals everything. No names, no context, but the internet exploded trying to decode it. Was it shade? Support? Neutral? Then Kelsey Mitchell posted a broken heart emoji. Aliyah Boston finally tweeted, "Family fights. Family heals." Now it wasn't just Team USA. It was the fever, locker room being dragged into it, and then came the real twist. Caitlyn's agent released a statement at 2:17 a.m. Short. Controlled. Surgical. Caitlyn Clark's decision was made after repeated concerns about role clarity, communication, and respect were not adequately addressed. She remains committed to representing her country under the right leadership conditions. Under the right leadership conditions. That wasn't quitting. That was leverage. The power dynamic just flipped. She wasn't storming away, she was forcing change, and suddenly, this wasn't about whether she'd play, it was about whether the head coach would survive. Because by sunrise, insiders were reporting that sponsors had already contacted USA Basketball asking for clarity. Television partners wanted reassurance. Ticket resale markets for upcoming exhibition games dipped overnight. And, within the Team USA executive circle, a question started circulating quietly. Did we just bet against the wrong star? Caitlyn still hadn't spoken publicly. No. Livestream. No tweet. No interview. Just silence. Strategic. Controlled. And terrifying for everyone trying to contain the narrative. Because, when the face of the future goes quiet, it means she's thinking. And when she finally speaks, it might not just shake a locker room, it might shake the entire system. Morning didn't bring clarity. It brought chaos. Sports networks opened with one headline and one headline only. I quit Team USA. Split screens, debate panels, former Olympians arguing over legacy, analysts dissecting 30 seconds of leaked audio like it was a presidential scandal. And then the fans woke up within hours. Hashtags were splitting the internet in half. Hashtag stand with Clark. Hashtag respect the program. Little girls in Iowa posted videos crying. WNBA veterans subtly liked tweets defending structure. Former NBA stars chimed in. Even celebrities outside basketball started picking sides. This wasn't just sports drama anymore, it was cultural. At Fever headquarters, sponsors were calling non-stop. Executives weren't asking about stats, they were asking about optics, because Caitlin Clark wasn't just a point guard, she was ticket revenue, she was broadcast leverage, she was endorsement synergy, she was the bridge to a new audience, and now she was in open conflict with the most powerful institution in women's basketball. Inside the Team USA facility, it felt like a breakup. Practices were quieter, conversations shorter, eyes avoided. Angel Reese reportedly told teammates, "This is bigger than rivalry now." Paige Buchers kept her head down but was seen leaving the facility early. Aaliyah Boston, she looked torn, loyalty to the program, loyalty to her teammate. Veterans were frustrated. Some believed Clark forced this to publicly, that disagreements should stay inside walls. But younger players, they were watching closely, because, if the biggest star in the sport felt unheard, what did that mean for everyone else? Then came the commissioner's statement. Carefully worded, neutral tone, USA Basketball values open communication and remains committed to supporting all athletes within our program. No apology, no direct reference to the coach, no mention of Clark's concerns, and that silence hit like gasoline. Talk shows went nuclear. Is this ego from leadership? Is this entitlement from Clark? Is Team USA protecting hierarchy overgrowth? Then the numbers came in. Within 24 hours, Team USA's social media accounts lost thousands of followers. Clark's gained hundreds of thousands. Engagement on her posts tripled, and she hadn't even addressed it yet. That's when the emotional toll started to show. Paparazzi caught Caitlin leaving a private gym. No smile, no wave, hood up, AirPods in. Reporters shouted questions. Did you really quit? Was it about playing time? Are you demanding the coach be fired? She didn't answer. But sources close to her family said she felt betrayed. Not by teammates, by the process. Because from her perspective, this wasn't about ego, it was about respect. About being told indirectly to shrink. About being reminded she wasn't supposed to rise this fast. Meanwhile, inside league offices, executives began calculating something quietly terrifying. If Clark refused to participate in the World Cup cycle, the marketing strategy built around the 2028 Olympic buildup would collapse. Broadcast deals were structured around her presence. Sponsors were banking on her global image, and the head coach, suddenly under review. But here's where it got personal. Late that night, an anonymous veteran player told a reporter off record, she thinks she's bigger than the system. That quote leaked on, the fanbase erupted, because 2 million's watching, maybe she was. And now the question wasn't just whether Caitlin Clark would return. The question was, would Team USA bend? Or would they force the biggest star in the sport to choose pride over patriotism? And somewhere, behind closed doors, emergency meetings were happening that could change everything. Because when money, legacy, and power collide, someone always loses. And the next move would decide who. 40-8 hours. That's how long the silence lasted. 40-8 hours of speculation, of debates, of former legends questioning her maturity, of fans building digital shrines in her defense, of Team USA leadership scrambling behind polished doors. And then, her phone lit up the internet. No press conference, no ESPN exclusive, just a black screen, white text. I never quit on my country. The world froze. 12 words. And every headline collapsed up because this wasn't a retreat, it was a reframing. She posted a video seconds later. No makeup, no PR smile, just Caitlin Clark sitting alone in a quiet room. I quit a conversation that wasn't built on respect, she said calmly. I didn't quit Team USA. I quit being unheard. Boom. The power shifted instantly. This wasn't rebellion, it was accountability. She explained that she had asked for clarity about her role, asked for transparency, asked for honest communication about expectations, and what she received, according to her, wasn't leadership, it was dismissal. I will represent my country proudly, she continued, voice steady but eyes burning, but I won't shrink for anyone's comfort. Mic drop. Within minutes, the narrative flipped. #ClarkSpeaks began trending globally. Even former critics softened. That's leadership. Sponsors publicly voiced support. Former Olympians tweeted, every generation challenges the last. And then came the twist no one expected. An hour after her video went live, USA Basketball released a second statement, short, direct. After internal discussions, we have mutually agreed to restructure the leadership approach moving forward. Restructure, not clarify. Not address. Restructure. League insiders confirmed what that meant. The head coach would remain for now. But offensive leadership, responsibilities were being redistributed, and more importantly, Clark was being named one of the official on-court captains for the upcoming cycle. At 23 amperes, captain, that wasn't compromise. That was concession. The system hadn't broken her. It had adjusted, but here's where the tension doesn't disappear. Because sources inside the locker room revealed something unsettling. Not everyone was happy. Some veterans felt blindsided. Some believed public pressure forced leadership's hand. Some quietly questioned whether the locker room would fracture permanently. Angel Reese liked Clark's video. Page Buchers reposted it with a simple flame emoji. Alia Boston commented, "Let's work." But behind the scenes, trust was fragile, and while the public saw empowerment, the locker room now had a new dynamic, because when a 23-year-old forces institutional change, every hierarchy shifts. And there's one more detail almost no one caught at the very end of Clark's video. Right before it cut to black, she said one sentence that barely made headlines. "This is bigger than me." That wasn't random, because insiders are whispering that this wasn't just about her role, it was about future players, about NIL power, about marketing leverage. About who truly controls women's basketball moving forward. This wasn't a meltdown, it was a warning shot. And as Team USA prepares to step onto the court again, the question isn't whether Caitlin Clark will play. The question is whether the system she just challenged will ever look the same again, because revolutions don't end when statements are released, they begin. This wasn't just a locker room argument. This wasn't just a headline. This was a power shift. Caitlin Clark didn't just challenge a coach, she challenged a structure, a hierarchy, a decades-old system that decides who leads, who waits, and who's told to shrink. And now the entire basketball world is watching. So I need to know where you stand. Was she out of line? Or did she do what no one else had the courage to do? Is this entitlement from a rising superstar? Or is this the evolution of a league finally being forced to adapt? Because one thing is undeniable, women's basketball will never feel the same after this. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. If you're rocking with Clark, say it loud. If you think Team USA was right to protect its system, explain why. And if you believe this is only the beginning of a much bigger shakeup heading toward the Olympics, hit subscribe. Because this story isn't over, even close. The next practice, the next game, the next press conference, that's where the real fallout begins. And when it does, we'll be watching.